Today we are going to learn about the ear. Okay, all of you know about the ear or the auricle or the pinna. That is the important organ in our body, and it is responsible for the listening. Ear is divided into the three parts. That is the outer ear or external ear. Okay, this is the middle ear. Okay, and after that is the inner ear. Okay, so ear is divided into the three parts. First we will see about external ear or outer ear. Okay, about this one, which is consist of auricle or the pinna and external acoustic meatus or external auditory canal. After that, between the external ear and the middle ear, there is a presence of, or there is a location of eardrum, or you can say the tympanic membrane that separates the external ear from the middle ear. First we will see about the auricle or pinna, its external features, nerve supply, blood supply, and the lymphatic drainage and applied anatomy. About the auricle and the pinna, okay, in this figure you can see, in the Viva also examiner can ask what are the external features of the auricle or the pinna, what are the parts of the external ear. Okay. This portion is called the tragus, this is called the antitragus, and in between this there is a intertragic incisure. Okay, this is the external auditory canal or the meatus. This portion is a concha and this is a Simba concha. After that, at the antitragus above, this fold is called the antihelix, and this portion is called the helix, and this is the ear lobe. This fossa is called the scaphoid fossa. This antihelix and these are the crura of the antihelix. Okay, and this is about the Simba concha, and this is a triangular fossa. So this is all about the external features of the auricle or the pinna. There are so many muscles in relation to the external ear. These are all vestigial in man. In lower animal, however, they are important, and it is consist of the intrinsic muscle and the extrinsic muscle. Okay, but you have to remember in the human it is vestigial. Okay, so what are the muscles? So superior auricular muscle, posterior part of the temporoparietal, helicis major muscle, helicis minor muscle. Okay, this muscle, that is the tragus, antitragus, and posterior auricular. Okay, these are the muscles. Okay, here however you can see the cartilaginous portion. So this is also the cartilage. Posterior auricular, transverse muscle of the auricle, auricular muscle, oblique muscle of the auricle, and the superior auricular and anterior auricular. Okay, so these are the muscles. As we know, it is a vestigial in human. About the nerve supply of the external ear, okay, this portion, okay, that is supplied by the facial nerve. Okay. Here this is a lesser occipital nerve and the great auricular nerve. vagus nerve, and this portion is a auriculotemporal nerve. So these are about the nerve supply of the external ear. The posterior part that is supplied by the facial nerve. For the blood supply, so here the branches, that is the posterior auricular and the superficial temporal artery, that is going to supply the external ear. These are all the perforating branches. So these are all the perforating branches, and this is the posterior auricular artery. This posterior auricular artery. Okay, these are the branch of the external carotid artery. Okay, here also you can see about the nerve supply. Auriculotemporal nerve, great auricular C2 C3, auricular branch of the vagus nerve, and posteriorly there is a great auricular C2 C3 and laser occipital C2 C3. Okay, so they drain into the pre-auricular lymph node and the post-auricular lymph node. Okay, and these are about the lymphatic drainage. About the applied anatomy, as we know, it is a pinna is a source of several graft material for the surgeon. So it acts as a graft material. Okay, ear lobule is used for the wearing earrings in cases of female. Okay, most of the female, and nowadays also the ear lobule is used for the earrings. Okay, this is a cartilaginous portion. So here helix, and in between the tragus, this is called the incisura terminalis. So for the surgery of external auditory meatus, the incision is made in the region of incisura terminalis, as it will not cut through the cartilage. Okay, so this portion, incisura terminalis, is used as a incision for the surgeon for any surgery. Okay, one of the syndrome that is called the Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, in which there is an involvement of herpes zoster to the geniculate ganglion. Okay, so what happened? So this clinically, there is a facial nerve accompany the auricular branch of the vagus. Okay, and involvement of the geniculate ganglion of the facial nerve by the herpes zoster virus. So the communication between the auricular branch of the vagus and the facial nerve takes place within the petrous temporal bone. Okay, so these type of the vesicles you can see. Okay, so because there is a involvement of the geniculate ganglion in a herpes zoster virus. So this is called the Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. Second, about the external ear, we will see external acoustic meatus or external auditory canal. So this is the external auditory canal. What are the features? Blood supply, nerve supply, and the lymphatics. So here you can see the canal. Okay, it conducts sound wave from concha to the tympanic membrane. This external auditory canal consists of this portion, that is the bony portion, and this portion is the cartilaginous portion. So here this bony portion, or you can see the medial 2/3, is a 16 millimeter, and here the cartilaginous, that is 8 millimeter. It is around total 24 millimeter long, and it is S shaped. Here is the obliquity of the tympanic membrane. The anterior wall of the floor are longer than the posterior wall and the roof. So that is about the external auditory canal. Here the cartilaginous part, okay, this part is a C-shaped in section and the gap of the C filled with the fibrous tissue. The lining skin is adherent to the perichondrium and contains the hair. Here you can see the hair, sebaceous gland. Okay, here this is the sebaceous gland and the ceruminous gland or the wax. These ceruminous glands are the modified sweat gland. So that is all about the external auditory canal, about the feature. About the blood supply, the outer part means this portion that is supplied by the superficial temporal artery and the posterior auricular artery, this outer part, and the inner part by the deep auricular artery, that is a branch of the maxillary artery. What are about the applied anatomy? Here these are the hair follicle. Infection of the hair follicle is called the furuncle. Okay, and they are confined to the outer part of the meatus. The furuncle infection of the hair follicle develop only in this part. How to examine the external auditory canal and the tympanic membrane? This is a otoscope. Okay, in adult, pinna is pulled upward and backward and laterally. Upward, backward and the laterally. In infant, it pulled downward and backward. This is because in infant, the bony part of the external auditory canal is not developed and tympanic membrane is directed mainly downward. Okay. So that is about the how to examine the external auditory canal and the tympanic membrane. Infection and boils of the external auditory canal. Okay, it causes very little swelling but are very painful. Why? Because the lining, the skin lining is firmly adherent or adhered to the underlying cartilage and the bone. Earwax, okay, we know ceruminous gland. The excess of earwax interfere with the hearing and is removed by the syringe. However, the irritation of the auricular branch of the vagus during the syringing may reflexly produce persistent cough called the ear cough, vomiting and even death due to sudden cardiac inhibition. So, very careful to remove the ear wax. Okay, it stimulates the appetite by dropping cold water behind the ear. Okay, here what is the reason? The aldermen, okay, in the ancient Rome, due to the excessive eating, what they were doing, he was doing, stimulate their appetite by dropping cold water behind the ear, and it produced the gastric peristalsis by the stimulation of the vagus nerve. Okay, that is about the stimulate the appetite. However, it is very much dangerous because some of the person causes the cardiac inhibition and the death. Now we will see tympanic membrane or the eardrum. Okay, about the tympanic membrane, we will see what is tympanic membrane, shape, measurement, features, outer surface and the inner surface, structure, about blood supply, nerve supply, lymphatic drainage and the applied anatomy. This tympanic membrane, here you can see, this is the tympanic membrane, is a thin translucent partition Between this is the external auditory canal or the meatus, and this is the middle ear. Okay, this is the middle ear. So this is the one partition. This is oval in shape and it is around 9 by 9 into 10 millimeter, and it is placed obliquely, somewhat obliquely, and it makes an angle of 55 degrees with the floor of the canal. It faces downward, forward and laterally. So the membrane has a outer surface and the inner surface. Okay, this is the outer surface and this is the inner surface. The outer surface of the membrane, that is lined by the thin skin and it is concave, and the inner surface that provides the attachment to this is called the malleus. Okay, this one is called the malleus. So handle of the malleus which extend up to the its center. The inner surface is a convex. The maximum convexity lies at the tip of the handle of malleus, and this portion is called the umbo. U-M-B-O. Okay, we will see. Okay, this is the about the inner surface. This is the handle of malleus. In this figure, this is the inner surface. Okay, this is the handle of malleus. It is into a center, and this is called the umbo. In the inner surface, here you can see one of the nerve, that is a chorda tympani. This portion is called the pars flaccida, and this whole portion it is tense and it is called the pars tensa. So here also you can see this is the inner surface, this is the outer surface, and this is the inner surface. Okay, about the tympanic membrane is divided into the four quadrants. Okay, here we have divided into the four quadrants. The first, this is the antero-superior, antero-inferior, postero-inferior and postero-superior. This is anterior malleolar fold, as the malleus is there, anterior malleolar fold and posterior malleolar fold. And between these two folds, this is a pars flaccida, and this is a pars tensa, and this is the umbo. So in the pars flaccida, there is a in inner surface there is a one nerve, the pars flaccida, that is crossed by the chorda tympani, branch of the facial nerve. This is the umbo. Okay, this is the anterior malleolar fold, posterior malleolar fold, pars flaccida. Okay, this is the handle of malleus, having the deep circular fiber and superficial radiating fiber. If we examine through the otoscope from the external auditory canal, the tympanic membrane can be seen like this. Okay, this is the lateral process of the malleus, this is the handle of malleus, this is the umbo, this is a reflection. Okay, and this portion, that is the pars flaccida. Okay, this type of the structure you can see. Now tympanic membrane, what are the structures of the tympanic membrane? The tympanic membrane comprises all the three embryonic layers: outer layer or cuticular layer, it is ectodermal in origin, inner mucus layer is endodermal in origin, and the middle fibrous layer that is mesodermal in origin. That is about the tympanic membrane. This outer cuticular layer that is of skin, middle fibrous layer made up of superficial radiating fiber that we have seen, and deep circular fiber. Okay, the circular fiber are minimal at the center. This fibrous layer is replaced by loose areolar tissue in the pars flaccida. Inner mucus layer is lined by low ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, so tympanic membrane histology, you can draw this figure. Okay, now what are the blood supply? Outer surface that is supplied by the deep auricular artery, that is a branch of the maxillary artery, and the inner surface that is supplied by anterior tympanic branch of the maxillary artery and by the posterior tympanic branch of the stylomastoid branch of the posterior auricular artery. This is anterior tympanic artery and this is the posterior tympanic artery. This is anterior tympanic branch of the maxillary artery, and posterior tympanic, that is a branch of the stylomastoid branch of the posterior auricular artery. Okay, this is a deep auricular and this is the anterior tympanic branch. The outer surface, that is a deep auricular branch of the maxillary artery. This is the outer surface. Okay, here in the first part of the maxillary artery, the two branches, one is a deep auricular branch and another branch that is the anterior tympanic branch. Tympanic membrane, what are the nerve supply? So here the outer surface that is supplied by the auriculotemporal nerve, and the postero-superior part. Okay, postero-superior part means this portion, postero-superior part, by the auricular branch of the vagus nerve with communicating branch of the facial nerve. Inner surface, okay, this inner surface, inner side where there is a handle of Mealyus is there, that is supplied by the branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve. So that is about the nerve supply. Okay, lymphatics, that is passed to the retroauricular and the preauricular group of the lymph node. What are the applied anatomy? Sometimes due to the external injury there will be a perforating injury or perforated tympanic membrane, or from the medial ear infection, that is otitis media, also leads to the perforation of the tympanic membrane. Okay, we are observing the tympanic membrane by the otoscope. So this type of the structure you can see that we have discussed already. Okay, this is the handle of Mealyus, pars flaccida, pars tensa. This is a reflex, this is umbo. Okay, thank you so much. In the next part we will see about the middle ear and the inner ear.